there is another game. This one is back. Another Battlefield competitor, dude. I thought this was BattleBit when I first saw it because that was one. Delta Forces got its Battlefield competitor.
Operation Metro. But as you squint and
yeah,
start to
straight
take
up
in the
Metro.
details, it becomes clear that this is a game that was very much inspired by Battlefield, but is something entirely different. Let's check out.
I mean, is it entirely different though? Let's see. All of this looks the same. This looks the same. Same mode, same point objective locations.
This early access
same
game
map,
that's made some major upgrades
Operation
over the
Metro.
years. So this game is called Polygon. It's one of those indie games that started off as a crazy
It looks like BattleBit though, right?
And has
looks the same.
Grown over the years and been refined to
even the way
an
the
impressive
reloads.
state. Now I'm sure it certainly helps that it is a free-to-play game in terms of attracting players, but what attracted me to it was just how much it looked like Battlefield. It is clearly borrowing inspiration from the UI, map design, and even the
keyword
aesthetics.
there.
And so I thought if this developer is that big a fan of Battlefield, what is the game play like? Now, Polygon is not a new game, but it has been getting new updates, and I would say the experience now is significantly better than it was back when it came out in 2020. The team behind it has grown from just one
this
person
map's
to
different.
a handful
Maybe he
of
was just baiting
developers
me.
to support the project. It's still technically in early access, and it gets a major update about once a year with supporting updates in between. And the last time I saw it was a couple of years ago, and they just had a handful of guns and maybe 2 or 3 unfinished looking maps. It has come a long way since then. All of the existing maps got improved lighting with clearer distance fog, better color grading, new
Is this weird? I feel like the old one's better.
All of the existing maps got improved lighting with
I guess some of the shadows here are not. Maybe it's just the vibrancy
clearer
is toned
distance
down. Let's see.
fog, better color grading.
No, that looks better. The shadows are a lot sharper. It's got like, this one's got like that Battlefield blue glow, you know? That seems like it's always on it. This game's been around for years, bruv. It has been. It just got another update. This is called Polygon. I thought I'd never even played this. I haven't even seen this.
New sunlight directions with improved readability. Some of the new maps they've added, like Sandstorm and Cargo, have absolutely great atmosphere, and even dynamic weather with an actual sandstorm that rolls in to obstruct visibility. Very familiar to anyone who's a fan of, say, Battlefield 3. All of the game's character models and weapon animations have been refined. The character models now seem to have better proportions and are clearly identifiable based on their factions. The weapon handling looks better, but still kind of arcadey. Even smaller stuff like the revamped weapon progression and attachment system has been a huge improvement since they've given each gun a unique
all of these, you got to progress all the guns. You got to unlock everything. You got to play it so many hours to unlock everything. It's just like, I don't want to go through and unlock all this stuff on Battlefield, even, let alone on doing it all on BattleBit. Then you got to do it on this game. You got to go on every game and play it all these hours just to unlock the stuff to actually try it.
Progression path
that's what kills me off this.
Actually playing with the gun. Now, the main mode you play is Conquest. It supports 32 players and is basically Conquest from Battlefield. Huge surprise there.
Whoa!
There's a handful of objectives on the map that you stand near to capture, and they serve as a spawn point for whichever team holds them. It plays like a smaller scale Battlefield experience. That said, the maps are still fairly large, though small by Battlefield comparisons. And the gunplay seems to be designed around the map sizes pretty well. The base weapons have some pretty challenging recoil, and you really have to master it to get some kills consistently. Now that said, it's without question a more casual approach to, say, the Battlefield experience.
Yeah, but you remember, have you guys seen the clips of the BattleBit players who take that to the absolute extreme? I saw a clip of somebody recently who had, they were flying all over the place like it was even crazier than Call of Duty. I don't know how he was moving so fast even. Absolutely killing everybody.
A lot of the technical stuff like, say, destruction. But the game also seems
Turned
to very
into
much embrace
Sweatland.
its limitations and caters the gameplay around them. Even things like the UI and loadout customizations are simplified, but they're also nicely laid out. Now, despite the game being in early access for quite some time, it is still an early access game and it has some flaws and some issues around it. The UI that I was just praising still has some weird bugs to it where navigating the menu seems a bit broken at times. Hitting spacebar to respawn doesn't always work.
Same
and then
Battlefield,
you have to click the
top
back
down
button in the menus instead of actually just hitting the escape key like most games would let you do. And interestingly, as much as Polygon seems to be following in the footsteps of classic Battlefield games, it's also adopting some of the early Battlefield game flaws. For example, spawn camping. On pretty much every map, the team's main headquarters is a restricted area that's obscured with a red border for the other team. The closer you get to the other team's spawn, the more opaque this red border gets, eventually making it incredibly hard to see enemies, but you can still see them well enough to harass them with gunfire. You just can't pass the boundary line, but you can still shoot into it, throw grenades into it, and this becomes a pretty darn big issue because the maps are designed in a way where the spawn locations are clearly visible and easy.
The difference though with Battlefield, or with BattleBit at least, is they can up the scale with it all more smoothly. Like the amount of stuff that was going on in that game was absolutely insane. This feels like it's really just Battlefield, but with worse graphics. I don't understand what the additional
easy to attack. If your team takes
all it's cool. I mean, it's nice that it's free, I guess, and maybe it's more content, more maps, it's different stuff. I think that was a big thing that was just lacking from Battlefield in the first place, and one of the reasons so many people go to all of these different games is because you play through all of the content. At least that's how I was. I played through all the content in Battlefield, and then I was like, all right, I'm good. If they kept launching new maps and more stuff at a much faster cadence, then I would have more stuff to be excited and keep trying.
The objectives on the map, the other team will only be able to spawn.
Maybe it's too late for me. I don't know.
And it becomes very easy to box them in. Even if somebody escapes from their deployment and tries to backcap a flag, there's no squad spawning system, so it becomes extremely challenging for that single or few players to cap a back point and swing the game back around. Pretty much every match I played ended up with one team spawn camping the other, or with us going back and forth with spawn camping. It made the
I noticed a lot of the
secondary.
scores. Like, look at this score in his game right now. It's already 53-3. Like, that is. You didn't even get your own flag at that point.
Trying to engage another spawn camp around the enemy HQ. And while there can be some enjoyability with trying to push out of a spawn that's completely encircled or trying to keep people into their spawn, it almost feels like the game would work better with some sort of tug of war game mode. A mode that other Battlefield games have experimented with, but feels like could be nicely appropriate here, since especially those modes play well with smaller map sizes or smaller team sizes. Now, the inspirations from Call of Duty are also in this game, and ironically, one of my main issues with the game is footstep audio. Footstep audio is almost impossible to hear unless
it's a classic Call of Duty feature.
I was constantly getting surprised by enemies with what felt like no warning system. I'm used to playing games where I can use all my senses to detect where an enemy might be or where they might be attacking from, and if there's any amount of gunfire or action happening, it's just
filling no gap in the market
to hear people. Sure, it's realistic,
but
free
to
for
play
a game with this art style and more
but Delta Force is going to do
that. The FPS experience, I would expect better footstep audio. Now, interestingly, a lot of really small indie games just go with a flat fee to buy the game and maybe some DLC options to monetize it further. But as a free-to-play, very small indie team, this game is supported by microtransactions. You can buy weapon skins, which I think is probably one of the most gamer-friendly ways to monetize a game. I think games that go exclusively for cosmetic packs and can make that work are sort of the best case scenario for a free-to-play game. However, there is also a battle pass that can speed up your XP gain to help you unlock weapons faster. And I will say the XP grind in this game is a bit of a grind, and the battle pass
That's what I'm saying, dude. All of these things
I'm not a huge fan of games that incentivize pay to progress. It's better than pay to win.
It is better, but you're still going to make the game worse and harder to actually get to the things that you want to do. This is the same thing that Call of Duty does with all their double XPs.
But, not my favorite thing.
All drives me
tend
insane.
to be harsher on bigger studios doing this, but as an indie project, I'll give them a pass because I would like them to keep developing the game, and if this is a big portion of their revenue source, then you know, stick with it.
Yeah,
I believe they
especially
also
for
have a
free-to-play.
Patreon if
You
you
gotta make
wanna
some
further
money.
support the project. Now, I was pleasantly surprised by just how much this game has improved over the years. A lot of indie projects like this tend to fizzle out over the years, getting smaller and smaller, less substantial updates, but this one really has turned from a game that was kind of interesting at the start to something that's far more competent, fun to play, looks good. It's just improved massively. So if you're in the market for a Battlefield/Call of Duty clone, I mean, this is an easy recommendation. It is free at the end of the day. I'm curious to see where it goes on its journey to one day hopefully hitting a 1.0 release.
The
Have you
Battlefield
guys played
music.
Polygon? It has been around for a little while. If so, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts in the...
Let's see what people are saying. BattleBit 2 looks like Battlefield, but this came out before BattleBit though. Love the low poly shooters. I think that's the appeal. I think a lot of people do actually like this style of and look of the game. Battlefield 6 in progress. To me though, like looking at this, if I've got this and Delta Force in front of me, both of them being free to play, Delta Force looks a lot more appealing to me. I think this style of game is very fun, and like the art design, it will be more timeless as well. Like it doesn't necessarily look that, it doesn't look bad. I'll give it a shot. Yeah, I think it could be fun for a day to even try it if I tried a bunch of shooter games out. If you guys want to see me try it. One thing about the spawn camping is that people on the camp team almost never use their spawn prot. If you don't shoot, you can literally walk past the enemy for about 10 seconds. That's actually helpful. Back in Battlefield 3, you just get locked into Metro. Even in Battlefield 4. And then if you couldn't somehow sneak your way past to go back cap them at A for the other side of the objective, which was very hard to do, then your team was just wiped, and then people inevitably leave the game, and then now you're 20 versus 10 or whatever it was. I was 32 versus 16 or whatever I think was the cap on Xbox back in the day. And it was 64 or whatever. You know, you get people leaving the game. You're not going to be able to keep... You're just stuck until the game's over. Especially with some of the high count player servers. But it does look cool. I mean, maybe I'd be down to try it for a day if we compared some of the other ones, but if he's already feeling like it takes a long time to progress, that's terrible. I don't like grinding guns and everything. I'd rather just have everything unlocked. But it looks cool. This Level Cap, if you guys have never seen his videos, he does a lot of good gaming news and everything. Definitely check him out. I keep an eye on some of the stuff he posts. I've known him for years.